If you wanna see the sensual harmony or a sexual fantasy, we all deserve to explore our body in a place like Perth Sensual massage after hours.
And also, aftercare's hot. Do you know what I
could
mean?
lean to round two.
That's right. Like, it's a nice, easy segue. Guys, we also high-fived before the session, so that goes to show the teamwork was there. You've equipped me with more tools.
And how was your therapist? Was she excited?
She was stoked for me. So I wish I had known and been aware of...
Hey, I'm Chase, a Perth, West Australian male body worker and erotic masseuse for women and couples of all ages, shapes and sizes. And we are here today on episode 1 of Perth Sensual Massage After Hours. And we have the amazing Samantha here. And we are going to go through a few questions as she is a previous client of mine in Sydney last year, and once I've toured back into Sydney 2026. Of course, we are going to do a little interview and sort of come up with, help bring down the stigma of this kind of industry and why women book these kind of services and the benefits that they get out of them. I think it's a really important story. We're also going to be discussing in future episodes with other sex workers and other people that have booked these kind of services and stuff like that in the past. So, hey Samantha, how you going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. We're excited to be here. It's been 24 hours since our last session, so it's a good time to, really relax after everything. As you know, it's an interesting experience.
To say the least. I'm excited to be back, although this wasn't on my bingo card, but I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we weren't expecting to start a podcast, but unfortunately social media is fucked. So we're going to do something even better, I think. I think this is going to be even better.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and episode 1. I thought, who else?
Look, you've started from the top, so I don't know where you're going to go from here, but I will do my absolute best to answer all your questions.
Awesome. Well, I guess the first thing is, who is Samantha? And, not giving off too much of your identifying, markers or anything. But,
too much detail. Okay. I am based in Sydney. I'm 28. I spend a lot of time on TikTok, in Pilates, and spending time with my friends. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, bringing up TikTok, that's how I first fell across you.
Awesome. Yeah, and are you single, partnered?
Single.
Yeah, always. I think bringing that out would be good for women to realise if they're single or married, because I get a lot of married as well. So
it's a service for all.
Yeah. I guess let's go into some of the first questions. What made you first consider booking an erotic massage? Look,
I've got to be honest. I sat on this for probably a good 2 months, I think. Yeah, it was so context, guys. Basically, I have a lot of childhood experience with sexual assault. And as I was getting into my later years in my 20s and seeing a therapist, I realised that I had a lot of built up trauma in that space that I wanted to work through. And it was almost like my algorithm was listening in on my sessions, because it was shortly thereafter that a lot of your content started to drop into my feed. And I hadn't actually realised that this was a service. Like, I knew this was a service, but I didn't realise that this was a service that would be something that could help me and my situation. So I think I watched a lot of your videos actually, and I remember thinking, oh, well, look, he seems nice. It seems safe. I'm seeing some client testimonials in the comments. Like, this could be a goer. So I messaged you, and then it was probably still a number of weeks before I finally landed on booking in and thinking, okay, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and do this. But I would be remiss to not say that I was actually really nervous, irrespective, despite deciding that I was going to give this a go. Yeah. I mean, it's a big step, especially being, what you've been through in your past. It's an absolute horrible thing. And I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But I think that
it's very brave and honourable of you to be able to like trust me to be a part of that. But I guess, you know, that begs the next question of how did you find Perth Sensual Massage? Is because I was able to educate the community a little bit before TikTok took me down.
Yeah, but before you were shadow banned on social media, look, it was, for me, it was the way that you were talking about your knowledge and experience that made me realise that you didn't just have experience in the space, you were educated in the space, and you were able to speak and communicate your understanding in such a way that made me feel really safe and comfortable. And I think as well, particularly for my age, I don't know anyone my age that's done this, and if they have, you don't really talk about it, so it can feel really hard to actually find or know where to go for that sort of support, particularly in my instance. Like, I remember reaching out to you because I was dealing with a lot of anxiety around intimacy, but particularly I was starting to use alcohol a lot to offset getting intimate with people, and I was finding that I was very desensitized when I was engaging with other people. So I think it almost felt like I was having this isolated experience whereby, because my friends hadn't necessarily had the same experiences and you don't really talk about it, I couldn't relate to them, and I couldn't relate to everyone going through their life stages and me thinking, I think I need help in this space, but I don't know where to go, knowing that it's going to be a safe space. So to answer your question with the longest answer ever, your content was really important for me for setting the tone of, this is something safe that I'm engaging in, that's going to be a good experience. And I know a no is a no. I know it's a set and safe container, and I know that my issues are going to be heard and my needs would be met. I think that was really important for me taking the leap to come and see you.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you used your womanly intuition that's what is essentially what did it for you, because you know, we all have an intuition, and I find that women have a very strong intuition because they've had to adapt to have a strong intuition for their own safety. And so I think as a young age, you had to build that up. And so by, you know, still being a young woman, and you've got a lot of resilience and intuition in you, so that, you know, you were able to see me and to your intuition to kick in and be like, this is a safe experience.
Yeah. Because I've also had experiences before in my 20s where a no hasn't been taken as a no, or there have been instances where I've wanted to work on this and I realised that sort of seeking that outside of maybe a more professional setting wasn't going to help me get over some of my initial issues. So I think that for me was really important, and it was also encouraged actually also by my therapist. So it was really helpful that I had a professional on the side who was very supportive of me seeking a service like this. And some therapists wouldn't necessarily do that. So I think I was just lucky to have a really good team around me to go, just go for it and see what happens. What's the worst?
Well, I think they could tell that, you know, you were resilient and you were a confident young woman that wasn't going to be hopefully putting up with the bullshit even if it was a bad provider. Because if they felt like you were not ready for it, I think they would have told you.
Well, that's right. There's a duty of care, right? And I think the beauty of seeing someone like yourself as well is you also come with a duty of care. Yeah. So I knew from the get-go, I remember walking in and being really nervous. Guys, book the 2-hour session. Don't do an hour and a half for your first, because that first half hour was so important for me to sense out the environment, see how I felt around you, ascertain the boundaries. A no is a no. What does that actually look like? And feeling actually empowered in the experience, as opposed to feeling like it would be something I couldn't get myself out of if I realised I was in too deep.
Yeah.
So I think the due diligence that you helped set up was really important.
Yeah. And did you feel like because you were paying for it, you had that sense of entitlement to receive for yourself and to say no? Did you feel you had more of an entitlement than if it was someone that wasn't a paid service? And
as a chronic people pleaser, no. I'm going to be honest. No, look, it was more, I knew that because I was paying for the service, that it was already going to be a very clear, defined line in the sand of what I was going to be experiencing. But what made me feel like I knew that a no would be a respect, and that what I was engaging with was going to be completely at my ease, what my comfort zone was, what I was interested in. If I wasn't comfortable, you'd stop. But really, that came from you and how you helped instill that at any point we can stop. And I think for me, learning to say no, I remember coming to you in that first session and saying that's something I wanted to work on, and throughout the entire session you did constant check-ins to encourage me to use my voice and practice what I was also working on in therapy. So that duality meant that it was a really safe container. Beyond, irrespective of my people-pleasing tendencies, I knew that I was empowered because of that to communicate my needs, which is really important, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. It is, pretty much everything you said. Perfect. It's just super important. Otherwise, what is the next question here? Was, we actually just covered that. How would you describe the atmosphere when you arrived? I guess, first coming into this...
So, I think this is a funny one, right?
Because my Sydney apartments aren't usually as set up as perfect as my Perth ones. Because you're travelling and it's hard.
I appreciate the disclaimer.
Yeah.
Look, gotta be honest, didn't know. Initially, I was a bit worried, thinking, oh my gosh, what am I getting? Like, you sort of run through a few things in your head, like, what am I getting myself into? What's the vibe going to be like? Is it going to be seedy? I can confidently say it wasn't that at all. It was very clean. I actually really appreciated the dimmer lighting. Like, it already felt like intent had gone into making the space feel really comfortable, despite the fact that it's obviously wasn't your normal area of practice. So no, it was completely fine. And it also felt actually quite discreet.
Yeah.
I felt like you'd picked a location times 2. So this time as well, that was quite easy, not unsafe, just discreet, which I value.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. And I try to do the best I can when I tour, trying to find a place that's affordable and suitable. But yeah, no, it's good. I guess, what surprised you the most about the experience, looking back? Was there anything particular?
I would say for me, both experiences were different, but I came in with different intentions for both. I think what surprised me was how comfortable I was with, particularly for the first time. I was surprised at how comfortable I was with you, given my history, and particularly how I was able to stay really present through both experiences. As I said, like I've had a long history of really struggling with intimacy, feeling incredibly anxious, feeling comfortable to engage, and also engage in your own pleasure, right? And I think that for me, I was surprised that I was able to enjoy it, to be quite honest with you. And I think that in itself actually left me with confidence of, oh my gosh, I can enjoy this thing that's felt really scary and uncomfortable. I can rewrite that narrative and have really good experiences with it, and I can learn more about my body and my needs in a really safe space. I wasn't sure that I was going to get that, and so that surprised me. I potentially thought, oh look, it might just be a bit of fun, and then I never talk about it again. But it was completely the opposite. So much so that I came back twice. So that for me was definitely a surprise. Also, the aftercare was a surprise. I feel like I'm sure you've got it documented somewhere, but I wasn't expecting to also feel very as supported after the fact as I did during the experience. So I think for me, those are the two things that stood out, that I went, that was good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have never even had aftercare, and I personally resonate with, how much of a big step this is for you, for anyone. And so I think that, aftercare is obviously used a lot after kink, but it's any form of like sub drop, it's any kind of huge experience you've had, anything that is, emotionally, physically taken a toll in a sense. And that toll can be, a lot of times they cry after the first session is because it's
a release,
tears of
right?
happiness. And so that's a toll, and that's an emotion, and that's something we feel, and it's something to come down from. You don't want to go from fucking 150 to 0, right? Because we're like, well, catch you later. Right? No, I would never.
No. Well, we spoke about the mind-body connection the other day, right? And I think that for me, the importance of the aftercare, particularly in something like this, like as I said, I was really nervous both times, right? Despite the fact that I knew what I'd experienced the first time and that I'd had a really great time. It's really important for your own regulation. And for me, I don't think I realized how much, looking back, I've needed that in other situations. So it's meant moving forward with any other partners I've seen beyond our time together, I've been able to seek that and make sure that I get that support. So that's also been a game changer for me, because I didn't fully realize, A, that it was something I should be expecting, but B, how to have that conversation and try to make sure that you get your needs met when it comes to something like that, particularly with my sort of lived experience. So I think that advocacy is so, so important. And I think that's why what you do is so valuable, because you give people like me who've had those experiences an opportunity not to necessarily rewrite the narrative, but to find your voice, to get your needs met, and to be able to actually understand what works for you, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. And if you don't know how to advocate for yourself or how to communicate that, and that's a lot of what I got from those 2 sessions with you so far, then how can you translate that with a partner who's not as experienced as you, Chase, right? Who doesn't know how to ask those questions in the first place, potentially.
And sometimes you don't know you need something until you've experienced it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And I think, I've had, obviously, experiences in my life prior being in this industry where, I was intimate with a woman once and she cried. And, I was young, early 20s or whatever, you're still figuring things out. And it was because I didn't give her much more attention after some intimacy. And I mean, that was just typical male, you don't know what to do after. So you sort of, hesitate, or, I don't know, at that age, you're still figuring these things out. And I think, I look back at that time and I want to do better. I learnt from that first experience. I don't want anyone else crying, there wasn't big tears and a big fight or anything, but it was just, I don't want anyone to be sad. And I think that's, a really important thing guys that are listening to, resonate that with. You can never do too much aftercare. Keep, until she's like, all right, I'm good. You can, if you're a partner or whatever, you can't do too much.
And also, aftercare's hot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Round 2.
That's right. It's a nice, easy segue. But I can tell you, Chase, I actually had an experience once where I slept with someone and he cried. And this was also when I was in my early 20s. And I got really triggered because of my experience, and I jumped straight to, have I done something wrong? What was the issue? And it was a similar sort of thing where I was really inexperienced. I didn't know how to hold space for that either. And so I think that doing something like this and seeking this sort of support, learning, whatever the case may be, even if I had a partner, I could see the value in engaging in something like this for being able to facilitate better experiences, better communication, and, as I said, a safe space to practice and do different things that perhaps you've not felt comfortable to do before. So completely hear you on all of the above.
Yeah, it's and it was a learning experience for me. And I think the key point is to not look back on and shame people for things, but to look back and be, what have they done right next? What have they done to do better the next time? What have they done to, the campfire rule of leave them in better shape than they took them? It's only an issue if someone keeps rejecting someone, or keeps not being there for someone, or keeps doing bad things. I mean, I recognised an issue, something I had to learn. I learned from that. I implemented it into my daily life, and then I implemented it into my career. and that's extremely valuable. Same thing with you. You know, you learn from that and you grow. You know, that's what humans are. No one's perfect to start with. But I think as another question, a little bit about our last session, I think it would be great to involve, you know, because it was unique from the first session, and we were trying to bring some sensitivity back. Can you want to explain a little about that and how that felt?
I think that your call out the shame piece is an interesting one. I think we all probably experience more shame than we realise, and something that I'd been working on that I'd come to Chase for a bit of support with was that from the mind-body connection perspective, like I've had really limited sensitivity in my breasts, and I've found that to be to the point that unless it's really cold, I actually get quite painful. I've got really poor regulation of circulation. And so I was looking to get not just a bit more sensitivity and to understand what my needs are to increase that circulation and that joy and comfort, but also to understand how to better come out of that shame space as well, and to get that support. And you took it like a champ, because it's even explaining it now, it feels I don't know how to use the right words to explain the needs that I had with that, but it was basically understanding that I'm actually meant to be quite sensitive there. There's a disconnect. How do I bring that mind-body connection back to that part of my body? So if we've got two vagus nerves, I want to bring a bit of that connectivity back. So I was pleasantly surprised at your ability to come up with a way to do that. Guys, it was a great success.
Oh, fucking high five. We haven't even discussed about that yet.
Oh, guys, we also high-fived before the session, so that goes to show the teamwork was there. But no, it was really good, and I went to therapy today.
Oh,
yeah. I went into therapy and I said, guess what? I had great success with the homework you gave me, but I had to outsource some of the support with working out how to bring some of that sensitivity back. And it's basically given me ideas of, okay, if I want to have pleasure in that area of my body and I want to increase sensitivity and awareness, I've now got things I can do to myself or to tell a partner to do to me based on the session that we had. So you've equipped me with more tools.
And how was your therapist? Was she excited? Was she happy?
She was stoked for me. She was stoked. Yeah, it was really good. And I think there was also that advocacy of, seeking something like this in tandem when you're working on shame and your feelings around your body and the movement of energy. It's really amazing to have that support network there. It's almost like I've got a little team working together, even though you obviously don't know my therapist. So no, she was pleasantly surprised and very, very supportive.
Yeah, I think your case was unique, but I think you can never have too much pleasure in your body. I think so. Like, if you can enhance that even 1%, it's worth it. You know what I mean? And the great thing about a session was we didn't discuss anything about our goals prior. I had no knowledge of research to, we just sort of had a chat, talked about what you wanted to experience, and I sort of come up with a plan from there. And I was winging it. There was no written scripts. There was no nothing. It was, some people would be cringed out by some of the things I had to say, but it was important that I was 110% not hesitating about it, because I knew, like, we set the standard to start with. We said we're going to have fun with this. We're going to not overly get in our head about this.
And we were giggling through it as well together, right? Like, I think it was, I appreciated that I equally didn't quite know fully how to communicate what it was I was asking for. But I came to you with a problem and I said, I've got this problem. I know I need to, I would love some help in it if there's something you can do. And let's just see what happens. So, I mean, you're right. Like, it created, sure, some people would have cringed with part of it. But I think that the fact that there was, again, no shame, and the container was set that things get a little bit weird, we're still going to have fun with it and we're going to make it work. So at no point did I feel ashamed about coming to you for that and you giving me what you were giving me. But I think to your point about hesitation, because you didn't hesitate, I think if you'd hesitated at any point, that can obviously lose confidence, but you weren't like that at all. You were awesome.
Thank you. And I like not putting too much seriousness into these sort of things, because it really
get in the mind.
Yeah, it really fucks with the mind. And even when it comes to orgasm and stuff, and putting pressure on things, expectations, sexpectations, it just doesn't help. It never helps. And so I really, you're a playful girl, you're a lovely woman, you're great to talk to, you're great to be with, and so I knew that we could be playful, I knew that we could have fun with it, and I knew it wasn't like a serious thing you needed to fix today. And I knew that it was going to be a path that you had to go down. This was just step one, recognition of what it is, and exploring different kinds of sensations and stuff, to see how you feel, see how your body reacts, and then you try another thing, and then you go try another thing. You do things with yourself and talk to your therapist. No one's going to come in and have no sensitivity on their breast and then leave having the most sensitive tits ever. Like, it's just not possible, but it's a process.
That's right. And I think for me, it comes back down to, like, my ultimate goal is better regulation in my body, which is part of why the therapy I'm doing on the side really complements what you were able to bring to the table. But I think what I really valued that you also brought to the table was the fact that despite you being in Perth and this being a once a year catch up at this stage, you were already also offering me different resources or things that I could look into or connect with that would also help me continue that journey irrespective of you. And I think that also was something I really valued, because it sort of reminded me and showed me that there are so many different things you can do to support yourself. Yeah. This is one tool in a toolkit that can help you with whatever issue you're dealing with in that part of your life. And it's a big part of your life, right?
Yeah. And it's an honour and privilege to be a part of it with you. And, I always try to be a support, a resource in perpetuity, so that, if they have a little question they can't find anywhere else, or, they need a recommendation for someone or for something, I'm always happy to give my blunt, male, honest opinion. Do what I can to, be there for everyone as I can. I try to do the best I can. And yeah, it was an honour.
Yeah. Well, Chase, I told you, like, it's opened my world. Like, I have actually, in my personal life, I've told so many friends about the experience that I had with you. And it's opened up conversations where a lot of them have told me about some of their issues, from vaginismus through to sexual assault or other issues that all correlate and come back to potentially benefiting from a service like this. So I think doing what you do is actually really important, and being able to have access to that or understanding where to go is often the barrier for someone like me to be able to find that support. But fundamentally, that session that we did last year was a real turning point for me in many ways in my sexuality and how I've been engaging with partners moving forward. So I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. And, sometimes it takes the first person to be vulnerable and open for someone else to be vulnerable and open back to us. That's something I've definitely learnt. Being obviously the friend with my friend group that I'm the most open, and they
no,
come.
really?
I'm the person they can come to, and they know that. But yeah, no, I think that's incredible. I think if we're gonna close this off, what's the one thing you wish you'd known before first booking?
Oh, okay. The one thing I had known before first booking.
Wish you knew. One thing you wish you had a friend that had the experience and told you about.
That's a really hard question. I think because I had the benefit of getting a lot of your content before you were shadow banned, I feel like I came in actually quite prepared. But in hindsight, I think I would have... I'd probably come back to the booking time amount, actually. Like, I booked in for 2 hours, and I remember seeing or reading somewhere that you sort of recommended that for your first time. But in hindsight, that was a really good call, as I said, because it set the container.
Yeah.
And I think probably the only other thing would be... Wait, I actually have a better answer. I'm sorry. And I clocked that I was like this with you actually the other night. So I wish I had known and been aware of how comfortable you are with people engaging with you during the experience too. Because I was so in my head both times actually about not wanting to cross a boundary with you, or like depending on where I touch you equally, I was really in my head about that. And I know that you would be comfortable putting me in my place if I ever cross the line.
Yeah.
But I wish I had known in advance and been clearer around what that would look like in your comfort, because then I think I could have been more organically in the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does.
So I think, and I recall it, I was like, oh, I was really stiff bored, and I realised I didn't have to be. So I think for me, if I could give one piece of advice, being really clear on equally what your boundaries are with that and what that looks like. Because obviously it does get very physical, and I just wanted to be really respectful. But I should have asked you that in advance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
that's my answer.
My answer to that is normally, it depends on the situation. You know, if someone's booked this experience because they need to learn how to receive for herself, because she automatically gives so much that she can't prioritize herself, I won't let her touch me. I won't let her do anything for me, because I want her to focus specifically on just her. This experience is just for her. And I've seen a lot of sex workers that have been in the industry a long time that are so used to giving can't receive. And in those situations, I'm like, you're not to give to me, because this is about you. This is about you receiving, experiencing this. And yeah, that's it.
Whereas in my instance, I think I just shut down.
Yeah.
So I think, but it's a really, I think it's an important call out, right? Because as I said, power of hindsight, I now know how I would communicate that with you or have that conversation. Whereas initially, I think I was just so nervous and I didn't want to make you uncomfortable, evidently, despite the service that I booked. And so I think my one piece of advice, if I could turn back time, would be to calling that out or being really clear up front, so that I've got that peace of mind. Yeah. There you have it.
That's a great end of the episode. I think
episode 1 done and dusted.
Yeah.
I think we've got a high five with that one.
Yes.
Perth Sensual Massage After Hours Podcast. Good night.